This is Fearlessly Fertile. Welcome to the Fearlessly Fertile podcast, episode 342. No, you're not too old. The myth of fertility expiration dates and outsmarting them. Loves, I'm so excited to be back here this week sharing with you another really important idea that I think anyone that has any hope of having success or intention for success on their fertility journey absolutely must consider. This whole thing about fertility having an expiration date, I think is just something we should flat out reject. As women who have worked for decades in improving their education, creating a career they love, creating a loving network of people in their lives, giving to their communities, really making an impact and stacking wins throughout your life. Why the fuck do we have such negative attitudes about women having babies and becoming moms, quote unquote, older? I'm just so over this. And I think you are too, because the reality is when you have spent decades creating a career and having the courage to say no to partners that were not worthy of you and holding out for the real shit, there's no reason that you have to be punished or be in this place where you feel like you just have to give up because you are too old. This conversation we're having here is really about dispelling so many of the societal pressures and the kind of regret that comes from getting sucked into the tractor beam of that garbage. The reality is, and if you've been listening to this podcast for any period of time, you know this is true. Women are having babies in their 40s and beyond on the regular. This is becoming quite normal. So the antiquated ideas that we have that your fertility necessarily has to, dive off of a cliff when you turn 40, it just doesn't bear out in the facts. Now, I know that there are people going to be hearing this and say, well, what about these charts, these figures, these statistics that these doctors are showing me? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Okay, here's what I would do with that. If I was back on my fertility journey today, knowing what I know, having served thousands of women, having helped women from ages 28 to fucking 54 get and stay pregnant, I would say this to that. Okay, anybody that would be showing me charts, all this other crap, this. Thank you for that piece of information, but that's not gonna be me. It's not gonna be me. So tell me how you can help me, if you can. Because if you can't, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Because a woman who has made the decision that the desire in her heart to be a mom is there because it was meant for her is not going to stop. As far as she's concerned, there is no expiration date. So what I'm getting to here, mamas, is you have to, number one, make the decision that other people's fear and belief systems around when a woman should stop trying is not going to be yours. That's a critical aspect of this. And having women come to me with less than 1% chance and then getting pregnant naturally, I know that the statistics at the end of the day, they actually just don't matter. They're a piece of information, but they're not even a predictor. They're not a good predictor of what's possible for you. But the good news is you are. The real move here, when I said decision, is deciding that age is no longer going to be a factor for you. It is not going to be a factor because you know that no matter when you come to the awareness that you want to be a mom, if there's a will, there is a way. That way may look different at different stages in your life, but you cannot continue to accept the pressures and the limited beliefs of other people about when you should stop trying. As far as you are concerned, the smart woman believes there is no expiration date. She may have to be a little more resourceful at different times, but there is no expiration date. Now, here's why that's so important. And this is the shit, okay? that nobody will tell you who's wearing a white coat. And that is regret. Okay, people love to show you their charts, their figures, their statistics, but nobody's talking about real life. Nobody's really talking about what you are going to feel like 20 years from now, having allowed somebody else's chart, somebody else's figure, somebody else who's probably going home to their kids to talk you out of your dream. What is that regret going to do in your life? And I want to share something with you that I shared with the ladies in my Fearlessly Fertile Method program not that long ago. And a mentor of mine brought this to my attention, and I love it. So here is an hourglass that I wrestled from my son, Asher. If you think about an hourglass, you really think about what this signifies. It's not just time, okay? It's really something that we can use as an example in our lives. The sand at the bottom of an hourglass is the past. The sand at the top is what we have remaining in our lives. And this narrow space that the sand passes through is right now. The reality is that the bottom of the glass, that's the past. It's already gone. You can't do shit about that. And the top of the glass that holds the sand, well, none of us knows how much sand we have. Not one of us knows. Today could be your last day. That's not what I'm putting out there in the world for you, but it's a reality. So not knowing how much sand we have, the only time we really have is now. Are your choices now going to create the future that you truly want? What do you want right now? What do you want right now, mama? You want this baby. And think about how your decisions today are either setting you up for a past full of amazing memories that you're going to spend with this kid, or a future of regret. Think about that. I really want you to ask yourself, how much of your life are you going to continue to abdicate to what other people think, what other people do, what other people might say, who have already lived their lives? It is an absolute tragedy that a woman like you would live and serve people, give so much of herself, exercise the discipline that it took to get to where you are professionally and in other aspects of your life where you're achieving success, and not have this dream met. Regret is a bitch. And instead of allowing yourself to live under the tyranny of it, what if you just decided that you were going to go ovaries deep and say yes to everything you need to say yes to in order to have this baby? Effectively eliminating any arbitrary expiration dates when it comes to your fertility. And I get that some of what I'm saying completely flies in the face of all of the conditioning that you've had up to this point when it comes to fertility. The biological practicalities, what it's like to be a mom in your 40s and 50s, you're going to be old, you're going to be tired and beyond. And it's like, shut the fuck up. If that person has not had a baby in their 40s, they don't know what they're talking about. And if they have low energy, that probably has more to do with them than it does for you. Think about it. If you were holding your baby today, do you think you would lack energy? I think having a baby today in your 40s and 50s is a hell of a reason to live a really long life. In fact, there is information going around talking about how women who have babies in their 40s tend to have extremely long longevity. It increased the possibility of you living well into your 90s by some insane percentage. So the idea that you're going to be old and run down in your 40s and 50s having a baby, that's somebody else's story. I intend to be rich, hot, and happy well into my hundreds. I hope you join me in that idea. This craziness that your life has to fall in line with everyone else's, reject that. That's how you're going to completely dismantle the myth of having an expiration date on your fertility. Reject it, rebuke it, get it out of your head. Let that be somebody else's limitation, not yours. Here's the next thing that I want you to consider doing with this. If all we truly have is this right now, you have to ask yourself, what do I want? Do I want my baby or do I want other people's limitations? Do I want my baby or do I want my fear? Do I want my baby or do I want the risk of regret? Because the minute you start saying no to the dream is the minute you start digging a deeper and deeper cavernous hole of regret, I promise you. So many people, they give up on themselves, they give up on the dream, and they'll come up with all of these excuses that sound so neat and tidy about why they gave up on their journey. But ask yourself, is that good enough for you? Do you buy that lie? Are you willing to turn your back on your dream? We are so quick to talk ourselves out of our dreams, but very infrequently do we have people urging us, pushing us, and advocating for us to say yes for the dream. And I know that sounds insane to a lot of people, but you gotta be fucking a little insane if you wanna create insane results. Why live such a predictable, boring as fuck life that's gonna tell you up 40, up 50, time to give up? Why not be a woman who is an outlier? You are an outlier in every other aspect of your life. You've got a big heart, you give, you're educated, you're fucking smart, you're hot, you're doing amazing things in the world. Why would all of that goodness somehow not be there for you when it comes to having a baby? I think that a lot of the aging that happens when it comes to our fertility comes from all the negative bullshit that we are fed. In fact, not that long ago, just within the past 60 days, there was an article that came out about how women's eggs don't actually deteriorate as fast as we thought. And there was an interview that Dr. Andrew Huberman did with Bill Maher recently, where they were talking about how when it comes to really understanding human health and the body, we barely know 10%. So quit worshiping at the altar of what people, well-intentioned as they may be, wearing white coats, are going to try to limit you. What if we find out all of that shit is actually incorrect? And that the mind-body connection is so strong that if you feed it enough negative shit, it's going to start complying with that. You don't get in this life what you wish for or what you hope for. You get what you believe. You get what you expect. And you get what you are. So what if you decided, I'm not going to be involved in any more of these idiotic expiration dates around my fertility? Does that mean I'm delusional? Well, maybe a little bit, because I believe Delulu is the Salulu. And in fact, those women out there right now who are holding newborns or toddlers in their late 40s and 50s had to be a little delusional. And I bet they are so fucking happy that they were. I know I am. You have to decide that you aren't going to live by other people's rules. You're going to be just crazy enough to live according to your dream. Call in your dream. Yes, you might need to be resourceful in a different way at this time in your life, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. Fuck the expiration dates. Start expecting to expect, mama. Remember, you get to decide. You get to use your highest faculties and make a decision about who you're going to be, what you're going to have, what you're going to give, what you're going to do. You have that power to decide. And I know, having coached women all over the world that are making insane things possible on their fertility journey, that loving themselves, loving their dream, loving the vision they have for motherhood to a degree of awesome insanity has helped them create insane results. So make the decision that you are going to be next. And that you are not going to let the mind virus of it all falls off the cliff when you're 40 or 50. You're going to be more resourceful than that. You are going to start asking a smarter question that will virtually guarantee you from having any regret left in your life. And that is, what do I want? And you have to make the decision to become the woman that gets there. And if you want to take away all these expiration dates on your fertility journey, Go to my website, www.frommaybe2baby.com, and apply for an interview there. My Fearlessly Fertile methodology has helped women around the world make their mom dreams come true, and their results speak for themselves. We have over 340 episodes of this podcast that stand for that proposition. We have the receipts, baby. My ladies routinely beat less than 10% odds. Why don't you join us? Because when you learn to use your mind and leverage the power of the mind-body connection, you can go well beyond the limits of fertility medicine. My ladies are living proof. So go to www.frommaybe2baby.com and apply for an interview there. Till next time, change your mindset, change your results.
Love this episode of the Fearlessly Fertile podcast? Subscribe now and leave an awesome review. Remember, the desire in your heart to be a mom is there because it was meant for you. When it comes to your dreams, keep saying hell yes.